Good afternoon and welcome to the judges, teachers, guests, and participants of FRCIS 2026. Now, I'd like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Dr. Muhammad Nur Azman bin Muhammad Yusuf, Head of Mechanical Engineering Unit from Kedah Engineering Matriculation College. The second judge is Miss Helena binti Gapur from Sekolah Menengah Sains Banting. The third judge is Miss Kong Suk Mei from SBPI Gopeng. And I, Muhammad Iman Zaidan bin Muhammad Zawawi from Sekolah Menengah Sains Hulu Selangor, while the timekeepers Nurul Adlin binti Muhammad Syarizwan and Muhammad Nur Arash bin Muhammad Jalil are from Academy Sains Pendang, Kedah. Now, allow me to read the rules. Each team should consist of a presenter and a technical assistant. The presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. The duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. The bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. A question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now, I would like to invite the first team from Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah to present.
Before we begin, we need to acknowledge someone really important that is not with us right now. It is not someone of prestige status. It is actually you, even that person at the back, the youth at the center of this research. They are the most important voices in today's conversation, yet here we are, presenting about them without them.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera.
Namaste, Vanakkam.
And apa kabar? We bid to the panel of judges and members of the floor. My name is Aidin.
My name is Arfan.
My name is Anas.
And we are from Sekolah Sultan Alam Shah.
Today, we present to you SAS, Silenced, Absent, and Structured Out, Rethinking the Ontology of Digital Competence Among Malaysian Youth in conjunction with SGD 8, Decent Work and Economic Growth.
Our presentation can be split into 5 acts, from what is the problem, how do we study it, and finally, why does it matter?
We first begin with our conceptual framework. This framework is important because it guides our thinking and helps us approach our research. Ultimately, it becomes a thinking tool that helps us navigate from something broad like SDG 8 into something far more specific and ontological inquiry, but we are just getting started. Before we continue, let's pause. Youth at the helm. To us, it's something more than just a slogan. A helm is a place where decisions get made, but more critically, youth should be the ones steering the ship and having full autonomy over the choices they make for the future. The question then becomes, if they're supposed to be steering this helm, how do we get them there?
Yes, Arfan, and that's the exact question that sent us into the literature. And what we began to realize was that it always pointed to one big concept: digital competence. We define digital competence as digital skills required by the youth
as a gateway.
and a gatekeeper.
to enter the workforce. But to really understand why it matters then, we continued reviewing literature, but now with the scope of digital competence in mind. But what we discovered was alarming. No matter where we looked, whether it be global or national blueprints, the message never changed. Digital competence remains essential. And again, as gateway, gatekeeper for workforce readiness in conjunction with SDG 8.
Not only that, if the youth is at the helm, then what will happen to our problem statement, where who gets to define the digital competence?
So, the literature centers into two questions. Firstly, who gets to define what is needed by the workforce? Secondarily, then, how do the Malaysian youth experience these definitions? Now, let's move on to Act 2. Ladies and gentlemen, notice that there's a gap in all of this literature. Now, just acknowledging digital competence is simply insufficient. And this is where ontology comes into play.
Ladies and gentlemen, ontology did not come out of nowhere. As someone who aspires to study philosophy at Oxford, we propose ontology as a philosophical way to ask what something means. Not what it does, not how it is measured, but what it is and who gets the right to say so.
But for us, it's not just philosophical, it's theoretical too, because we use it as a working tool and not just an idea. Ontology in this research lets us understand what kind of power gets to truly shape digital competence. And that's the lens that we needed following into our methodology. Now, moving on to our methodology, we can split it into two phases. In the first phase, we aimed to really map out who truly defines digital competence. We approach this in two ways, both quantitative and qualitative. Quantitatively, we conducted a school survey among 15 to 16-year-old students. 258 responded to a Google Form survey that consisted of 10 5-point Likert scale questions. We then analyzed it using descriptive statistics.
But besides that, we also did a qualitative analysis. For example, we did document analysis to 5 different policies, but we will show you that later. But secondly then, we also interviewed 3 key stakeholders and we reviewed their findings using thematic analysis guided by Braun and Clark.
We've interviewed these 3 stakeholders, 2 academics from the University of Manchester and 1 child commissioner in Suhakam, to fully understand who defines digital competence and how. And so, driven by all the answers that we found from our previous review of literature, we believe that it is crucial to map out the exact ecosystem needed to dictate every single thing that defines digital competence, being government, universities, and industry, each having different takes on digital competence.
What we got from Jade was that she told us universities expect these youth to already be equipped with these digital skills prior to entering tertiary education.
And what we got from Dr. Nay was that although support structures do exist in universities, students are still expected to be able to adapt into the stakeholders' definitions of digital competence.
And if we look at the data right over here, we can see that the vast majority of youth are able to use technology properly and are confident in using them. However, this is where the illusion breaks. Despite being defined as digital natives, they are still only 55% of them are actually knowing what digital skills they can use during their future jobs.
By the end of phase 1 then, we now had a detailed map of how the system works, as well as a really good idea on who gets to truly define digital competence. But our research seeks to decolonize digital competence definitions, so we cannot use these institutional definitions. We realized that phase 1 has given us the architecture. Moving on to phase 2, we now want to see who was living inside of it. Therefore, phase 2 explored youth lived experiences from diverse backgrounds to understand other forms of digital competency. Similarly, we also interviewed them qualitatively and analyzed them thematically.
The first theme we're going to introduce begins with a story of silence. And listen up, because this is interesting. With every policy document we analyze, the same thing appears, the same pattern that contributes towards silence. Governments say that youth are the future. They tell us that we are the targets, we are the recipients. But none of them actually allow us to contribute within these discussions. For example, one of our participants told us, and I quote, "The adults tell us that we are the future, but we are never consulted in regards to the future. We are physically present within the room, but we are not actively giving anything out. This is what we call silence."
The second pattern then is what we called absent. Across the 5 youth that we interviewed, we discovered that each of them had their own unique form of digital competency. However, when we compared these experiences to pre-existing digital frameworks, most of these capabilities never existed. Things like marketing, online communities, online gaming, content creation, and monetization through platforms like TikTok and Instagram. The youth had all these skills, however, nowhere were they written on black and white.
And finally, our last pattern, structured out. We say that youth are qualified on paper but locked out in practice. Why? Because of these 3 steps that often happen. Step 1, the system declares them ready. However, in step 2, they try to enter chasing the economic pathways they were promised. And unsurprisingly, in step 3, the door slams shut. Why? Because the real world requires networks, exposure, and industry fluency, something the youth were never even taught. And so, after diving in, after finding out SAS, we've come up to a conclusion that this is, in fact, a design gap.
After our findings then, we went back to the schools, not to present to them.
Not to test them,
Not to measure them to a different framework.
The only thing we did was we sat with them and we asked them one question: who gets to define what digital competence actually means? And from those sessions were born the SAS Digital Agency Toolkit. One pen, one paper for every voice.
Look, we are not trying to save the world and we need to ground ourselves in realism. What we're trying to do today is not necessarily a new solution, but a new form of empowerment. We want to relocate these voices by the youth that for far too long have been excluded from this discussion.
And this is where I come into play. Because as an aspiring author, what better way to empower the youth's voices than through stories? Now, their words are able to forever be immortalized in paper.
And finally, our second step, dissemination. Activism is something really close to my heart because I believe that every voice should be heard, especially children's voices. And I have been fortunate enough to present these hidden voices, these hidden stories to a children's symposium at the Parliament of Malaysia.
Judges, today what we're trying to do is very simple. We want to contest the definition of digital competence. We want to provide an ontological inquiry of what we think digital competence should be. Because ladies and gentlemen, throughout this whole presentation, we have to understand that this chair has been empty. But alhamdulillah, right now, we know who is the righteous owner of this chair. It is the youth, it is you, and
us.
Thank you.
I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Congratulations on a very interesting presentation. Okay, my question, if students, were given the opportunities to define digital competency, what changes would you recommend for schools?
Well, we explained that in our framework that we wanted to give them a participatory toolkit. What we explained just now in our discussion was that we wanted to give them a voice, because the problem that exists in status quo right now is that the youth oftentimes have these skills. We see that in this generation, there are things like they are able to utilize social media effectively, they're able to build online communities, they're able to do online games, which can lead to a lot of skills. These are all actually very important skills that are relevant to the future workforce. And because our theme is SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, we realized that we wanted to understand if it was a skill gap or a design gap. If it was a skill gap, then the youth could just be trained. But the problem was their voices were never given to the first place. So our solution then for these schools was to introduce this framework so that the youth actually have an avenue to share their voices and to actually say how they feel. Because youth at the helm means that they should be in charge of the policies because they are the catalyst for the future and they should be allowed to steer the future. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I think that's all from us. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Menengah Sains, the second team, Sekolah Menengah Sains Segamat, to present. Now, I would like to invite the second team from Sekolah Menengah Sains Segamat to present.
The future will not wait. Malcolm X famously asserted that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And today, we're talking about empowering a future-ready workforce through adaptability and innovation. And how to prepare for what's next? Let's dive right in, shall we? Now, before we get into all that shenanigans, as you can tell from this immaculate slide, that these are my lovely co-workers and teammates that have spent countless days and nights perfecting this research. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning we bid to the esteemed judges, accurate timekeepers, and members of the floor. My name is Iyad Izahin and I'll be your main presenter for today.
My name is Sarah Amira.
And I'm Sharifah Damia.
And our job here is simple, to give you, the users, a nice and simple way to take in the information we are bringing. We are from Segamat Science School and we're excited to share our findings under the banner of SES, Strive for the Best.
Our research is driven by a central question. Are we truly ready for the rapid advancements in technology? We're exploring both the pros and the cons of these changes, and more importantly, the current level of preparedness among the youth. So, what do you think are the pros of technology? Yes, they make our lives so much more convenient, but what about the cons? They cause humans to depend on technology too much than to actually rely on their own creativity and intelligence. This is a core challenge we set out to investigate. Before we go further, let's clarify our terms. What is meant by a workforce? A workforce literally means the number of people in a country or an area who are available for work. I included two synonyms for better understanding, which are staff and manpower. It's about the human element in the economy. So, what does empowering mean in this context? Empowering as in qualifying and workforce as in manpower. By empowering a future-ready workforce, we mean qualifying the future manpower by adapting to the advanced technology.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Now, students and young adults alike face an anomaly of high AI familiarity but low workplace readiness. Now, this leads us to our research objectives, which is first, to examine the level of preparedness among students and young adults such as ourselves, and second, to investigate their perceptions, how they actually view the impact of technology for the future of workforce. Now, how did we gain all this data? First, through an online questionnaire, we were able to gather 100 responses from the commendable students of our school and their families. Up next, to keyword-based research, we analyzed past reports and research submissions on the impact of technology for the future. And what did we find? I'll leave that to my teammate Iyad.
Thank you, Sharifa, and I'll manage from here. Now, on to the heart of the matter. Our findings, which is purely based on the quantitative data we collected across 100 respondents' answers. Up first, who responded? The vast majority, 83.3%, answered 13 to 17. Now, this is crucial information because that means our data directly reflects the views of the very generation that will be most affected by these changes. Up next, we asked the respondents on the frequency of tech use, or how often do they use technology or AI tools. And unsurprisingly, technology use here is pervasive and worldwide. A huge portion of these respondents already use digital tools daily or very frequently. And based on the pie chart, you could basically group up the often and very often into one big often, showing that young people are already deeply engaged with technology, whether in a positive or negative way. And what we meant here in our slide by AI tools are apps that are already integrated into our daily lives, such as ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and other apps that are alike. And this is ultimately a foundational step towards our mission today. And next, we asked the respondents, will AI replace their dream jobs? Now, the majority of respondents here expressed major optimism, answering no or not sure. So, contrary to popular fear, young people do not actually see AI as an outright replacement for their dream careers. However, they see a more collaborative future in which AI and technology will just smooth things out and make the journey more enjoyable and easier on our part. And dream jobs in this context can be perceived in a bunch of different ways. Most dream jobs are either white-collared or blue-collared jobs, which are manual, hands-on, professional, or knowledge-focused careers that require human intervention.
Thank you for that, Iyad. I'll be taking over from now. Next, we asked them, are they confident in their current education to prepare them for their future jobs? From the pie chart, we can see that most answered yes. This indicates that the current curriculum and syllabus is eligible enough to satisfy the demands of tomorrow. Up next, we asked them, is growing technology killing jobs? Now, the opinions here are split more evenly, as many see our growing technology as a way to optimize our workforce, as being our assistant in tasks such as compiling research and doing more hazardous work in our stead. But many also see a future where all service jobs, such as customer service and media production, being completely taken over by this software. These kind of service jobs are the most common for students who are looking to earn a steady part-time income. Then we ask our respondents, do they think technology or AI will play a major role in their future careers? And most of them answered yes. Now this fully correlates with what my groupmate Iyad has stated earlier. Up next, we ask them, where do they learn most effectively? From this pie chart, you can see that there is now a shift in learning premises, where now most are preferring to learn outside the traditional classroom. For further elaboration, I will include it in the next data ask, which is, what is stopping them from learning new digital skills? Here's another critical insight. The top barriers aren't a lack of interest, but practical challenges such as cost, no access to the correct tools, and a lack of time. But with government support through platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, and online tuition services such as MC+, learning can become more accessible. Respondents also value positive peer interaction, as group projects not only encourage cooperation but also idea sharing, thus killing two birds with one stone. Therefore, educators should adapt their teaching methods to better suit today's generation.
Thank you, Sharifa. I will continue next. Next, we ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared do they feel for the future workforce? Based on this bar chart here, the average preparedness level was only moderate. This quantitative score, combined with our other findings, reinforces the message that while we are aware and engaged, we are not fundamentally and confidently prepared for what technology has to offer.
Thank you. And up next, the adaptability, or in simpler terms, how humans react or adapt when new technology is being embedded into the future of work. Now, for the content, I put that humans are scared to adapt. Now, this is true, and this has been proven by time again in history. For the elaboration, I put that humans in general are often lazy to tailor their ways of life to suit tomorrow's needs. Now, judges, You may ask me, why did I put lazy in the elaboration but scared in the content? Because we as humans are scared, are lazy, but we as humans aren't going to acknowledge it ourselves, so we put on a mask of being scared to cover up the fact that we're actually lazy, and that is human nature. For the consequences of this is that they make false accusations and exaggerate against technology, as you can see here in our next slide, which is a prime example of this, where in CES News it says that robots are seen being more accepted into society and are used daily, putting up a negative front for technology and AI, thus influencing the public media to think that technology will just make things worse, not actually benefiting anything for us. And as the great Charles Darwin have said, that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change.
Thank you, Iyad. As for our recommendations, based on our findings, we propose 3 key recommendations for schools and policymakers. The first one being that schools should strengthen digital literacy initiatives, make them core to the curriculum. The main man in charge here, the government, should play that role. An existing initiative is a digital policy that equips students with digital citizenship, as in AI awareness and coding skills. Other real-life examples also include TVET and Rakyat Digital, which ultimately aims to provide a digital learning platform for students. Second, promotes lifelong learning. Instill the habit of continuous skill development, not just by making students learn something that they will forget in a few months, but something that can be embedded in them to remember until the finish line. And last but not least, encourage innovative mindsets, foster creativity and problem-solving overrode memorization, make their brains think outside the box, not limited to opening up AI chat boxes every time they run out of ideas.
And now for the cream of the crop, the cherry on top of the cake, our conclusion, which is made on all the past data we have analyzed thus far. And based on our findings, one message is clear, that first, people do not see AI replacing human workers in the immediate future. Now you may ask me again, why did I highlight not see AI replacing human workers in green? Because that means it's a very positive thing. Up next, we or the respondents believe that technology will become an integral part of the workforce of tomorrow. Or in simpler terms, we believe that technology will undoubtedly play a massive part in tomorrow's workforce. And we, as the Madani generation, should embrace change, continuously learn, and work together. For what purpose? To ensure we thrive in an increasingly technology-driven world. And for our sources, these are the ones we use, but we mainly use Google Scholars, and you could always scan the QR code for more information. The future will not wait,
but we will wait for your questions.
Fire away.
Now, I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, my first question is, in your opinion, what is the irreplaceable human skill for you?
And now, the irreplaceable human skill, and I believe that it's creativity, or it's leaning more to the creativity side, especially arts, where I know that AI is taking over the music and arts industry, but it's always the human creativity that takes over. You need human emotions, you need human touch to make the arts industry boom. And especially in the emergency services, like AI, I believe that AI can always enhance and make the jobs easier, but it can't fully replace it.
Okay, thank you. So you talk about the human skill, but our current school system actually still heavily grade students on the exams and the technical formulas. So give me, what is the bigger change the school or the teacher must make the changes in the classroom or in her teaching?
I believe that teachers should embed technology or AI more in the classroom. What I mean is they should make the students do work, especially on technology and AI, or do work that includes them with technology. For example, doing presentations where you embed yourself in opening up Canva, doing things, and make yourself do research upon these things.
Okay, so very interesting. So the last question, since you said that teacher must encourage students to use AI in the classroom. So what do you think? Should teachers still teach students to how to write an essay, even though students can use AI to write a perfect essay?
I believe that teachers should encourage students to use AI, but not to fully replace the students' work. The students should just use AI as a reference, not actually using AI to fully do their work. And I believe that when students use AI fully, it'll underdevelop their brains, and you can just use AI to just help you with your essays. Maybe ask ChatGPT for cohesive devices, or what should I say and what should I do? Tips, not actually, hey ChatGPT, can you write me an essay about this and that? No, that is morally wrong, and that will just make the students slower.
Okay, thank you for your response. Any question? No. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
From JB to Segamat.
From Seremban to Segamat,
From Putrajaya to Segamat.
and finally from Segamat to Pendang. We are eternally grateful for your presence, and if God wills, shall we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all. Today, we are presenting on a topic, Are We Future Ready? Exploring the digital and soft skills Malaysian students need for an AI-driven workforce. But before that, let me introduce our team. My name is Asia Mardia as the moderator, and this is Husni Fariha as the presenter, and that is Tuan Ahmad Yusof as the technical assistant, not to forget our teacher advisor, teacher Nur Sania. So, as we know, in this world, we are experiencing a major shift driven by artificial intelligence and digital technology, as the rapid advancements are transforming the, the rapid advancements are transforming the education system, the education systems, industries, and most of all the skills needed for the in the workforce. In this AI-driven era, technology, digital in this driven era, digital knowledge. Digital knowledge are no longer an advantage but a necessity. For Malaysia, we are preparing Preparing youth to in these competencies is and essential to ensure they are they are competitive and ready to lead in the future economy. So, so um, therefore, this is why our research asks, are Malaysian students future ready for an AI-driven workforce? Next. So, why does this matter? Because the skills needed in the workplace are evolving rapidly. As we move into 2026, smart workplaces are becoming more common where AI and digital technologies integrated into daily tasks. By 2030, digital economy will continue to grow with creating new opportunities but also increasing the demand for skilled workers. Looking ahead to 2035, AI collaboration will become the norm where human and AI will work together to improve productivity and innovation. This means that the future jobs will require different skills than today. Besides digital skills AI literacy and tech- uh, such as AI literacy and technology proficiency, students must also develop soft skills such as communication, critical thinking, and teamwork. Next, we move on to the challenges that facing Malaysian students today. First, unequal digital access means not all students have the same opportunity to use technology. Secondly, students have different levels of digital literacy and AI knowledge. Thirdly, there is a skills gap between what students learn in school and what employers need in the workplace. As a result, not all students are equally ready for AI driven workforce, which is why this issue needs to be addressed. Now, let's move on to our research aim to examine the role of digital literacy and critical thinking skills in preparing Malaysian students for future workforce demands in the age of artificial intelligence. So here we got our research objectives to identify the digital literacy competencies most frequently highlighted in recent literature on future workforce readiness and to identify the critical thinking skills most frequently associated with employability in an AI-driven economy. Next up, to examine how digital literacy and critical thinking skills contribute to students' readiness for future careers, and last but not least, to propose recommendations for schools to better prepare students for future workforce demands. Here we got our research questions. You may ask what digital literacy competencies are most frequently highlighted in recent literature on future workforce readiness. What critical thinking skills are most frequently identified as important for employability in the AI era? And how do digital literacy and critical thinking skills contribute to students' readiness for future careers? And what strategies can schools implement to better prepare students for future workforce demands? So for our methodology, we used a simplified systematic literature review SLR combined with analysis, and we also used literature was primarily sourced using Google Scholar Labs. We also managed for our research process utilize Notebook, LM, ChatGPT AI as technological aids to assist in identifying and processing the literature. Now let's move on to our first findings, which is we identify 5 key digital skills that Malaysian students need to thrive in an AI-driven workforce. At the center is the concept of future digital citizen, which is someone who can use technology confidently, effectively. So the first skill is AI literacy, which enables students to understand and work with AI. Next is information literacy, which helps them to evaluate information critically and identify reliable sources. Next is digital communication and digital collaboration, which are essential to communicate and work together in increasingly digital environments. And finally, cyber safety is crucial to protecting personal data and also to ensuring responsible online behavior. Together, these skills equip Malaysian students to stay competitive and adapt effectively in an AI-driven era. And our second finding is while AI can process large information and automate tasks, human critical thinking remains essential. Uh, Students need strong problem-solving skills to address complex challenges and decision-making skills to choose what is the best course of action and at evaluating information skills to uh, to distinguish information from misinformation. And in addition, creativity enables them to generate innovative ideas, while ethical thinking helps them to ensure that AI are being used responsibly. Moving on to our third findings is um, the combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. Based on their literature, AI excels in areas such as speed, data analysis, and automation. However, they cannot replace human strengths. For example, empathy, creativity, ethics, and leadership. Uh, Next is our fourth findings, which focuses on how schools and students can prepare for an AI-driven future. Schools play an important role by promoting AI literacy, project-based learning, collaboration, and effective communication, and also responsible technology use. At the same time, students need to take active role in their own development. This includes learning new digital tools, using AI responsibly, and thinking critically, and joining projects and committing to lifelong learning. Therefore, future readiness is a shared responsibility between students and school. Both must develop to Both must work together to develop skills needed for the future workforce. And to conclude, technology alone will not shape our future. The future workforce will not depend on technology alone, but on how well we combine digital skills with essential human abilities. From this study, it is clear that critical thinking, communication, creativity, and lifelong learning will be best to prepare youth for tomorrow's future jobs. And if we can balance technical skills with strong human values, we will not only prepare for the future, we will be able to shape it. That's all from us. Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite the judge to ask questions.
Okay, well done. Okay, so looking at your conclusion just now, can you go back to the conclusion? Yes. All right. So you said students who combine digital skills, critical thinking, creativity, communication, and lifelong learning. Okay, the rest are soft skills, right? Will be best prepared for tomorrow's opportunity. Okay, in your opinion, which one is the most difficult to develop among Malaysian students and why? All right, from the skills given just now.
Could you repeat that again?
Okay, you are talking about all the digital skills and soft skills. All right. So, which one do you think is the most difficult to develop among Malaysian students? Okay, you can have different answers based on your own opinion.
in our opinion, we think it's communication because nowadays, uh, nowadays youth are becoming more like becoming less confident to talk in front of others. So I think this communication is one of the hardest skills to develop in the youth because of now technology is uh,
Expanding.
it's expanding and most of the kids now are like we know the most of the kids now are addicted to social media until they cannot even communicate well with other people. For example, there's still kids in the village who cannot even speak English, but um, there's a lot of kids now who are uh, addicted to iPad who only speaks English uh with that will make the communication worse because they cannot even understand what they are talking about.
Thank you. Would like to invite the fourth team from Sekolah Menengah Sains Seri Puteri to present.
It's 8 a.m. Imagine arriving to work and finding out that a new system has just been introduced. Tasks that were once straightforward now require navigating unfamiliar systems and software. Now, as the day goes on, you struggle to keep up, and before you realize it, it's already 7 p.m. and you are still trying to complete tasks that once only took minutes. This reflects a growing reality where industries are getting more digitalized and digital skills are no longer optional but essential for the modern workforce. But before that, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I bid to honorable judges and members of the floor. Today, under the theme Take It Forward, Empowering the Future Workforce with our research entitled Towards a Digital Nation, Bridging the Talent Gap, we would like to present to you our team members. First being Ms. Shifa Salma as the presenter, Ms. Alisha Idina as the technical assistant, and I, Ms. Nurkali Shadamia as the moderator, and Ms. Duratana Kia as our teacher advisor. Now, our research can be split into 4 types, which is first, the objectives, second, the methodology, third, the research findings, and lastly, our conclusion.
Now, our research consists of 4 objectives. Number 1, to assess Malaysians' youth readiness in adapting to a digitalized workforce. Number 2, to examine whether the skills possessed by the younger generation align with the demands of the future workforce. Number 3, to identify the attitudes and willingness of youth towards digitalization and technological adaptation in employment. And of course, number 4, to propose strategies to bridge the talent gap and strengthen workforce digitalization education in Malaysia. Moving on to our methodology, our research used both qualitative and quantitative methods. We analyzed academic journals, reports, and government publications, and also conducted interviews with experts and industry representatives. Not only that, we also carried out a survey involving 117 students to gather primary data on youth skills and perception. Now, our problem statement is that despite growing exposure to technologies, Malaysian youth may not possess the industry relevant competencies required for a digitalized workforce.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to note that Malaysia is undergoing a significant industrial transformation where agriculture is adopting IoT sensors and drones, healthcare is transitioning to telemedicine and AI-assisted diagnostics. And this integration does not occur in isolation, but is actively being guided by national initiatives such as Industry 4WRD and the National Fourth Industrial Revolution Policy, which promotes the integration of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and big data analytics. And as these technologies become increasingly integrated across industries, skills in workforces are also expected to evolve alongside them. Now, a survey of 393 Malaysian employers reported that although 65% of Malaysian employees sees digital skills as a workplace priority, 83% emphasize only on basic digital skills. Therefore, this is significant because today's youth will become tomorrow's workforce. Therefore, the skills that are in demand by employers today will be the same skills that youth need to have in order to enter the future workforce.
Of the floor. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, around 1.96 million university graduates are underemployed, while somehow 64% of companies also report digital skills shortages. This clearly indicates a skills mismatch. Now, another question then arises. If youth are highly exposed to technology, then why does this gap still exist? Our interview with Associate Professor Dr. Airil Haimi Muhammad Adnan explained that the gap still persists because youth often limit how they use digital tools. For example, AI is used mainly to generate quick answers without actually understanding prompting, refining the outputs, or even critically evaluating the results. Here's a simple comparison, ladies and gentlemen. Youth are generally comfortable using digital tools like AI and search engines. However, on the other hand, employers now expect more than just basic usage. They require data interpretation, critical thinking, problem solving, and the ability to apply tools in real workplace context.
Now, a news article entitled Will Malaysia's Workforce Sink or Swim reported that 65% of employees sees digital skills as a workplace priority. However, only 83% emphasize mainly on basic digital competencies. Likewise, MDEC also reported that the skills that is in demand, advanced digital skills that is in demand continues to outpace supply, particularly in artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and big data analytics. These findings suggest that while basic digital competencies are becoming more common, advanced digital skills wanted by industries are still lacking. As Helen Sylvanathan, the EXCO of Women in Tech Malaysia, has emphasized, digital skills such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, and cybersecurity needs to gain the same attention if Malaysia were to build a workforce that is prepared for the future.
Overall, there's a clear misalignment between youth skills and future workforce demands, especially in terms of depth of application and problem-solving ability.
Now, a survey with Professor Dr. Airil Muhammad Adnan reported that even STEM students who are closer to these industrial skills may not be interested to adopt these crucial competencies. This raises concern. If they are not interested, then what about the others? However, worry not, because according to our survey of 117 respondents ranging from 13 years old to 26 years old, reported that 65% strongly agreed and 21.3% agreed that they are willing to adopt new digital or technological skills. Therefore, the problem does not lie on the lack of willingness, but the lack of pathway that can turn willingness into active participation.
This is why we focus on youth, ladies and gentlemen. They are entering a labor market reshaped by automation, big data, and the Internet of Things. Although they are often seen as digital natives, frequent technology use doesn't always mean professional digital competence. Without guidance, exposure, recognition, and opportunities to apply their skills, youth may remain as casual users rather than competent contributors to Malaysia's future workforce. Hence, Malaysia needs a structured approach that guides them towards relevant skills and real workforce opportunities, which now brings us to the mechanism that we would like to propose in today's issue, our program ADAPT, or as we call it, Adaptive Digital Applied Practice Track, a hands-on program that helps youth adapt to changing technologies through practical activities. ADAPT is added into existing co-curricular activities such as innovation, ICT, robotics, and ICT and innovation clubs. Now, schools will receive ADAPT modules with simple digital tasks that become more challenging over time. In each module, students learn one new digital tool, use it for real tasks like AI-assisted research or data analysis, and receive feedback from teachers before moving on to the next module. Not only that, but NGOs and community organizations can also run the same program through weekend or school holiday workshops, especially for youth who have fewer opportunities to access these digital trainings. Also, university volunteers and industry mentors can also help us guide these sessions. Why does this matter in the first place, ladies and gentlemen? Let me tell you this. Through this structure, ADAPT gives youth regular practice, guidance, and real experience with technology. It develops their ability to adapt, solve problems, communicate, and work in teams. Skills needed for Malaysia's future workforce.
Now, in conclusion, by actively applying these skills in real-life contexts, youth will be able to maximize digital tools, adapt to technological change, and meet the evolving demands of the future workforce. That's all from us. Thank you.
I would like to invite the judge to ask questions.
Okay, very good presentation. The study highlight a striking statistic. 46% of respondents believe that Malaysia youth lack of industry level skill regarding recent technology implementation. Why do you think nearly half of your peers feel underprepared despite growing up surrounded by smartphone, apps, and high-speed internet?
Okay, to answer your question, thank you for your question. There is a very vast difference between being a digital native and a digital producer. The recent generation is a digital native, which means that they are growing up surrounded by technologies, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are fully prepared for the competencies wanted by the workforces. For example, youth may use AI and the workforces might want workers that can use AI. But the difference is youth uses AI mainly for quick answers without actually maximizing these digital tools to its fullest potential. While these industries wants workforces that is able to leverage these digital tools in order to do problem solving and do data analytics and maximize the usage fully in their workforces. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, let us invite the fifth team from SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo, Indonesia to present.
One, two, three.
Let's turn passion into opportunities.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Teachers, honorable judges, and my fellow friends. We are Team 2 from SMA Negeri 1 Purworejo. It is a great honor for us to stand here today and present our research project. Today we will discuss a topic that is highly crucial for our generation. Aligned with the team, Youth at the Helm, steering the world towards a resilient and sustainable future. And driven by our sub-team, Take It Forward, empowering the future workforce. From these two aspects, we developed the title of our research. Sport as a catalyst for digital transformation, fostering 21st century skills and economic growth for future employment. Our study deeply explores how esports serve as a powerful driver to achieve Unsustainable Development Goal 8, which promotes decent work and economic growth. First of all, let me introduce our team. My name is Aluda Ramadhani, and together with my teammates,
My name is Adila. My name is Kyoshinta. And our supervisor, Mr. Eko Hendarto.
we are ready to share our insight. Let's begin.
To starting off, have you ever heard of esport? Most of people think it's just a teenager's casually playing video games in their room, but it's so much more than that. Esport is widely recognized as a highly structured and competitive form of digital gaming that requires intense mental and physical coordination. To put this into context, our own survey results show that Mobile Legends is the most popular game among our respondents.
So now, let's talk about the reason why we choose this topic. In recent years, esport has grown rapidly, transforming from a simple hobby into a massive global phenomenon. This expansion is heavily driven by rapid advance in technology, accessible smartphone, and better internet connectivity. Today, esport is no longer just about entertainment. Under the spirit of Take It Forward, it has become a professional industry that bridges the digital literacy with economic opportunities, creating new career paths and boosting the digital economy. This makes it highly relevant to see how esport impact on economic growth for young people. So now, please take a look at the data that provided by Newzoo. Esport has grown incredibly fast. In 2019 to 2024, the number of esport enthusiasts is grown from 197 million to 285.7 million. This massive upward trend clearly proves that esport is rapidly worldwide, creating a mainstream economic sector that generates substantial global revenue. Despite this rapid growth, many people, especially parents and educators, still view gaming negatively, often overlooking its professional potential. This brings us to our problem statement, which there's two main center questions that we want to answer through this study. First, how do esports develop 21st century skills among young people? Second, how do esports generate economic opportunities for young people? To answer this question, I will take over the presentation to my teammates, Adila, to explain our research process.
Thank you, Alodea. To answer both of those questions, we conducted a study to look closer into this topic. For our methodology, we use a quantitative approach by distributing an online questionnaire through Google Forms. We gathered 90 high school students as our respondents, aged 15 to 19 years old. Then, we analyzed the collected data using descriptive statistics, where we focus on frequency and percentage to find clear pattern from their answer. This brought us to the exciting finding we discovered. Now, let's look at it. According to our survey on how students perceive this, a huge majority, 73 students, agree that esport encouraged them to learn supporting software, while only 17 disagree. To make sure our objectivity, our data is strongly backed up by 2025 study from G. Patrick William, Mark R. Johnson, and Vinay Kumar. They explicitly stated that sport-relevant expertise extend beyond gameplay to encompass the cultivation of knowledge, skill, network, and sources that support competitive success. This academic validation proves that sport naturally drives digital literacy among the youth. In fact, previous study by Granick in 2014 highlight that gaming sharpened mental focus, while Gabiandini and Gredemeyer in 2017 found that strategy games improve decision making. But how exactly do these skills help build a prosperous future workforce? Well, mental focus allows workers to thoroughly analyze situation and adapt to changes, while strong decision making help them to choose the best course of action. Together, this make up vital 21st century skill that needed to improve better in modern workforce full of disruption. Next, in line with SDG number 8, we might wonder how does this actually connect to economic growth? So the connection lies in how sport train and empower the younger generation, proving that even a teenager can make their own income. So we asked our respondent if they had ever earned money from sport, and if they did, where it come from. The data shows four distinct income streams. First, the biggest source come from tournament where 36 students won prize pool. Second, this is followed closely by in-game trading with 29 students buying and selling game items. Third, 15 students made money through game boosting. And finally, 9 students earned money as content creator. This proves that with the right approach, sport can be opportunity to boost the economy from an early age. Aside from that, we also asked our respondents if they are interested in working in jobs related to sport. The data shows that an overwhelming majority are highly interested. More importantly, when we look into the specific career they want to pursue, they are aiming for highly technical, future-ready roles. They are aiming jobs such as data analyst, game developer, digital marketer, content creator and streamer, and project or event manager. This beautifully shows how sport can bridge a teenager passion into high-value future career. Ultimately, the rise of this specialist role will open up more employment opportunities, directly lowering unemployment rates and driving a long-term economic growth. With that, Jacinta will take over to explain the wider opportunities and risks of this industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Adila. To fully align with the sustainable growth, we must look at this industry objectively from both sides. On the side of opportunities, sport involves teamwork and communication, develops critical thinking, and create a concrete job that can support the economic growth. But on the flip side, we cannot ignore the risks, such as gaming addiction, negative impacts on academic performance, and the potential health problems. To build a truly resilient future, these risks must be properly mitigated. To tackle those risks and ensure the healthy growth, we propose a crucial solution called smart gaming habits. To take it forward successfully, gaming must be balanced through three key actions. First, players must practice good time management by setting strict schedules. Second, they must maintain a healthy lifestyle. And lastly, they must consciously balance gaming, education, and future career planning. So, esport isn't just about gaming. It supports SDG 8 by preparing skilled workforce, creating new careers, and helping drive the economic growth. To conclude our presentation today, esport is definitely much more than just an entertainment. It is a powerful platform supporting future-ready skills, IT, and workforce readiness. When managed responsibly through smart habits, esport empowers young people to take it forward into the digital era. Finally, that brings us to the end of our presentation. And one thing that we can learn from this presentation is humans are creatures who really like playing, or we call it Homo ludens. So let's just keep playing, not only to kill the time, but also to shape our better future. Let's turn passion into opportunities, and thank you very much for your attention. Now we are more than happy to open the floor up for any question or any feedback you may have.
SMA Negeri 1, unggul berkarakter mendunia.
I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, thank you for the interesting presentation. Okay, so my question is, in your opinion, since you say that e-sport is so important for the students and the economic growth, so what school can do for the student to be equipped to be more professional in e-sport? Okay.
Thank you for your question. So school role or educator role is to discipline some youth, because some youth cannot maintain a disciplined lifestyle. So to achieve SDGs 8, we need a healthy lifestyle. So that is our answer.
My question is, what is the role of school? What school can do to foster e-sport?
Thank you for your question. So, a lot of school in our country doing called sport tournament where this a student versus student in. So,
School can make a sport competition for the students to meningkatkan
creating a place where students can learn.
so students can learn more about sport.
Okay, when you venture into esports, of course, you need to practice, right? So you need to play lots of gaming. So there might be a risk of addiction, and you propose a healthy lifestyle. How do you ensure that these gamers are not addicted to gaming?
Yes, we cannot ensure that all people ensure the smart gaming habit. That's why the role of parent and educator is crucial. That's why our research is important to ensure parent and educator that esport is not something bad. It just need a discipline. With their guidance, we hope that youth will be disciplined.
But then hoping enough is not enough, right? Just hoping is not enough, right? You know what I mean? Do you have a platform to check whether these kids are not addicted and how to control the addiction?
So there's an application called Family Link, which parent or educators can.
So parents can control their child not to addicted with sport.
Like managing time in their handphone, like just 2 hours or 3 hours in a day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I would like to invite the last team from Now, I would like to invite the last team from Academy Science Pendang to present.
Ashad, have you done yesterday's homework yet?
I haven't done it. I've been playing TikTok for the whole day.
What? You haven't? That's not a good way to use your device. You know, if we use our device correctly, we can be better prepared for future jobs.
Yeah, Amina, you're right. And you know, we might even contribute to the nation's economy.
Wow, is that even possible?
Yes, but with only proper use of technology. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what sparked this entire research. But before that, representing Academy Science Pendang Kedah, where brilliance is nurtured and excellence is expected, we bring you from learning to earning perceptions of educational technology and its role in workforce development and academic growth. A study in Academy Science Pendang. I am Amina Zulaika.
I am Alika Sikalisha.
I am Azhar Ishraq.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to our discussion, this is the tables of agendas that we are going to be discussing today. So, Alia, can you tell us what educational technology means at Academy Science Pendang?
So, in simple words, educational technology refers to the use of digital devices and online platforms in order to support learning and project work among the students of Academy Science Pendang.
Oh, is that why you picked Academy Science Pendang?
Yes, that's correct. The infrastructure of Academy Science Pendang accommodates educational technology because each student has a device and they are supported by Wi-Fi, a digital device center and computer labs. And currently at Academy Science Pendang, we have a schedule where students are permitted to use their devices from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And this suggests that the students are already familiar with education technology.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me clearly explain how can technology affect the future workforce and economic growth. Technology now serves as a tool for automation, which helps jobs to be more efficient and evolve the job. This can contribute to overall economic growth.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, technology offers many benefits in education. As such, these are the benefits. All of these benefits contribute to academic development in positive ways.
But I want to know though, is it true that students are getting all of the benefits of technology in school?
Well, the answer is no. There is something holding them back. Based on our research, we have come up with two main problems. Under distractions, we have found that technology distractors has become the largest cause for digital distractions, while students often find entertainment in order to overcome boredom. Under lack of innovations, it is found that students are more likely to cheat using technologies, while technology can cause cognitive and critical thinking skills to weaken.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come forward to you with three objectives in mind. First, we want to examine how technology can affect students' compatibility in work projects. Second, we want to explore teachers' view on students' use of technology. And lastly, we want to predict how the integration of technology in work can affect the future workforce and economy.
Now, on to our methodology, we have sent out open questionnaires to the PPC for students and selected teachers. And we also analyze their answers according to thematic analysis. And then we divide the answers into three main teams, which for each question and of both groups.
With that, let's look at students' question 1. Based on responses from students, we can observe that students do use the devices for academic purposes, but they also use it for self-rewards, such as entertainment.
Now, moving on to the second question, students emphasize that with the help of their devices, it helps them to enhance their work quality and makes work even easier.
Last but not least, for the students' question 3, we can see that yes, technology can help them prepare for future careers, and they say it helps them prepare for future careers in terms of providing new digital skills and allowing job research.
But guys, from the tips that we got from students, we see that students do agree that technology assists them in daily life. But what about teachers' perceptions?
I think it's positive.
Well, I bet it's negative.
Well, actually, it's a both. Let's look at teachers' question 1. Based on teachers' question 1, we can see that teachers generally perceive that students lack in self-control over time management, where they use their time over entertainment.
For teachers' question 2, teachers see that efficiency can only exist when there is proper use of devices.
And finally, for the last question of teachers, we can observe that teachers believe technology can enhance future work as long as it's used responsibly.
Now, based on these observations, we found that productivity and learning increases when students use their devices. However, the effectiveness depends on whether they use it responsibly or not. But not just that, teachers also see that discipline and supervision affects how students use these devices. What's equally significant is that many students use their devices for entertainment, whether it's for self-reward or pure misuse.
So in light of our findings, we can make a better assumption where when students use their devices and they are being monitored, their work will be done. However, if they are left unmonitored, their work will possibly be delayed and their device will be misused. Now, let's implement that into a work setting. If this behavior continues, the same thing will occur again, and then this will hinder academic growth.
On another note, teachers' observation also state that students are too dependent on AI. And when students are too dependent on AI, it can lead to the inability to produce new ideas. And back in students' question 1, 37 out of 50 students mentioned the usage of AI. So the possibility of overdependence on AI is quite high. Ladies and gentlemen, if this situation continues, students will continue to use AI in everyday problems, and future employees will also use AI in their work settings. And this is bad when students cannot solve their own problems using their own critical thinking skills. And it is also bad when AI recommendations do not work and they have to figure out their own solutions. And we can see that AI dependence can lead to lack of innovative ideas, which can lessen innovation, and it can decrease productivity, and our economy cannot grow further.
But wait. I want to know though, how did all of this happen?
Well, after figuring out the root cause, it is found that the main problem is the lack of discipline among the students. This is because the students are taught of the consequences of their actions, which lead to misuse.
And well, to overcome this method, we thought of switching to a better method to instill a mindset in them that whatever they do will have consequences. Such as we have analyzed and identified 3 main factors that affect the human attitude, such as perceptions of others, supervision, and reinforcement. The main idea of our suggestion is for the model to stay relevant towards students so that they can implement their knowledge and attitude in the workforce later on.
Now, with that in mind, we've come up with one recommendation, DEEP. It stands for Digital Ethics Education Policy. This policy aims to cultivate students' mindfulness in use of technology while shaping students to be future ready for workforce commitment.
But before we dive in, we must get to know the stakeholders that will accompany us throughout this journey. Our success of this recommendation depends on these 6 important stakeholders.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you our plan in our policy D. To start off, we plan to collaborate with our stakeholders, specifically universities and companies, in order to pick around their workplace and for students to have better access and discover tools that are used in workplaces today. Other than that, we also plan for students to engage in research projects and innovation competition to further enhance their critical thinking skills and teamwork skills.
Moving on, an eye-opening program is needed to instill responsibility among students. Representatives from the Ministry of Education and BPSBP can team up together with tech experts in order to teach students deeper about digital skills and even new ones. They can also examine students' level of digital literacy and report the findings to the Ministry of Education for any further improvements.
Lastly, to further strengthen our policy, we have designed a model app, Logic. So this app is only activated on school ground, but it can also be unactivated by a special request to the Students Affairs Unit in case of any emergencies. So how does this app work? This app functions to restrict the student online access to only educational platforms, and it also assess the student online activity to assume any possible misuse. So this app also follow the day-to-day schedule of the students to make sure that they do not exceed the screen time limit of their in the day. So the features that exist in this app is implemented so we can implement the 3 main factors affecting human behavior in the students' daily lives.
All right. So how do we plan on expanding this expansion and on expanding this plan of ours? Firstly, we start at Academy Sespendang, and then we can move on to other SBPs, and then we can integrate this into secondary schools. And for the 4th phase, we thought that this policy should be integrated when students are still young. So it can be integrated into primary school. And lastly, it can go nationwide in which we can collaborate with private sectors to further expand our scope.
But even with all of that, how can we make sure that it's truly sustainable?
I knew that question was coming. That is why, open your eyes, people, we have prepared a sustainability plan. So we plan to enhance the school digital infrastructure by restructuring our classroom with modern equipment, and we intend to shift from the use of tablets to laptops for future generations. Next, annual collaborations with our stakeholders is used to reinforce the student learning progress. And finally, this continuous improvement on our school technology governance system will add on new features and fix bugs, and also available this app in the Lima.
Now, to conclude, our findings show that the technology has the potential to improve productivity and enhance digital skills. However, for these benefits to be realized, responsible use of technology must first exist. Thus, it is important for us to balance technological competence with essential soft skills in order to prepare future-ready individuals for workforce development and economic growth.
There's a quote that goes, "A tool is just an opportunity with a handle." So let me ask you guys, if we do not use our resources well, how can we develop into a more sustainable future? I'll leave you with that question. Well, that's all from us. Thank you.
I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, congratulations. Good presentation. Okay, you did the survey, did the Google form, everything from your schoolmates, right? What if how the findings would differ if you were to conduct this kind of research in other schools around Pendang? Okay. Is it going to be the same, or is it going to be worse?
May we have a moment to discuss? Thank you. So in our opinion, if we conduct this in other schools in Pendang, it will differ because in academic science Pendang, like we said earlier, we use the devices every day from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And other schools, they might not use their devices every day. So there will be a difference between our data and their data. Does that answer your question?
But then they will have unlimited access to their devices, since most of them are staying at home compared to you. So what do you think?
Well, to answer his question, the data will be deferred, but we cannot really see it because our research is based on students who use their gadgets at school. So of course, they use their devices all the time at home, but they also go to school. So the time, and we can implement our policy at their homes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the interesting, informative, stimulating, thought-provoking, and fascinating presentation. Thank you to all educators for your time. Thank you to all educators for your time.